So I'm an educator, which means that I get to walk into a classroom full of young individuals and help them change their lives. Over the last few years of me being in education, I've realized that I'm a superhero. I'm a superhero with powers to make a real difference. I'm a superhero with powers to transform lives, to mold young children into thinkers. And as I think about what it is that I can do in my vocation, I do not take it for granted. But there are concerns. There are barriers that create walls between children and grown-ups. And these barriers are not created by children. No, sir. They're created by us, the grown-ups. Namaste, everyone. My name is Sandeep Doifode. And before I tell you what my problem is with the grown-ups, let me tell you a small story. Now, I did not come up with this story. It is prescribed in one of our English textbooks for class 10, titled Madam Rides the Bus, written by Valli Khannan. It's a story about this young girl named Valli, who is about 8 years of age, and she has this dream of traveling in a bus that she sees every day from her veranda. Now, this dream grows stronger in her mind as she tries to collect money for the bus ticket. So what does she do? She comes up with this master plan that would make it all work out. She knows the exact timing her mother goes for her afternoon nap. She knows the exact timing of the bus that goes to the city. So when she has enough money for the bus ticket, she boards the bus and goes to the city. Now, mind you, the primary reason why our madam rides the bus is simply because she is curious about the outside world. She wants to explore the outside world. She wants to learn from the outside world. And she does learn from the outside world, from the people she meets on the bus, the city, all the things that she sees from the window that she made sure was part of the master plan. Things, though, get a little intense as Valli witnesses a dead cow on her way back home. And she feels this immense sense of empathy in her heart for the cow. But what shocks her is to see that all the grown-ups on the bus have no empathy. They are absolutely indifferent towards the cow. They even laugh at her for being so emotional about it. And at such a young age, she fails to understand as to how could these people show absolutely no emotion at all towards the life lost. But here's the thing, right? As the reader of this story, what irked me the most about these grown-ups wasn't their indifference. It was their treatment of Valli. The story is titled Madam Rides the Bus. And it is perhaps okay to call Valli a madam as a joke, but to call out her emotions, to mock her emotional state, and to disregard what she thinks and feels only because she is a child is profoundly problematic to me as an educator. Let us ask ourselves, as educators, as parents, as uncles and aunts and grandparents, do we perhaps tend to disregard our children's opinions in the name of age? I think we do. We tend to think that they're too young to contribute towards serious conversations. We undermine their opinions and their thoughts, thereby weakening their self-esteem. In a world that is predominantly driven by social media, what we need to do is build self-esteem in our children. And how do we do that? Listen to your children. Please, let's understand that communication is not only about speaking, right? As grown-ups, we ought to understand that we can't just be telling our children what not to do and what to do. Mostly what not to do, right? That's what we focus on. It is imperative that as parents and educators, we understand that an effective communication is a two-way dialogue. It's never one way. It's never one person speaking and the other person passively listening. So what happens going forward? Let us understand. Valli, as she travels through the bus ride, decides to explore, right? And when you don't listen to people of Valli's age, what are you doing? You are telling them that their opinions don't matter at all. It's very simple. If you don't listen to your 8-year-old talk about her life, her experiences, her outlook on things around her, you're not communicating with your child. If you don't validate her perspectives, her opinions, her ideals, you're dampening her self-esteem. Why do you think that our children spend 5+ hours on social media? It's because as grown-ups, we make them feel like they aren't grown up enough to have a conversation with us. So what do? They go on social media, they look up for quotes and videos that would resonate their thoughts. They then spend all those hours reading and sharing those quotes and videos on social media, because in some ways, being able to share these quotes and short videos on social media, they get to share their own thoughts. But my question to you is why? Why on social media and not with yourself? They can easily share these thoughts with you, right? All you have to do is look at your children as whole human beings with opinions, perspectives, values that matter. Make them feel like what they say is actually taken into consideration. Listen to their suggestions about anything. It can be about your business. It can be about your travel that you're planning. It can be anything that you deem too serious for a child. Listen to them and sometimes implement them so that they can see. A small anecdote comes to mind at this point. A famous Indian actor shared one of her childhood experiences in an interview. Both her parents were in the army. So one fine day, she walks up to her father and she says, "Dad, do I live in this house?" And the dad says, "Of course you live in this house." And she asks, "Then why is my name not on the nameplate?" And the very next day, the father changes the nameplate and puts her name on it. Mind you, she was in kindergarten when she asked this question to her father. And in most cases, let's face it, grown-ups would have either laughed at her as a child or turned it into a cute story, right? Now imagine this with me. You are in a room full of people and your son walks up to you and poses the same question. "Dad, why is my name not on the nameplate?" And now imagine the reaction of those people in the room. And tell me honestly, what is the image that comes to your mind? A, the entire room erupting in laughter. B, some of them looking at your son and going, "Aw, that's so cute." What happened here? Your child walked up to you with a genuine query, and you did not even consider it. To add to that, everyone in that room made it seem like it was some sort of a joke. And at 8, or even 10 for that matter, your child doesn't know how to navigate or perceive these reactions. It's a direct blow to their self-esteem. The Indian actor later confessed that her father changing the nameplate made her feel visible, acknowledged, and she grew up a competent individual. She goes as far as saying it changed her life because as she grew up, that memory remained. And she remembered how her parents made sure her voice mattered as she grew up. When I began my talk, right, I started with a story, Valli's story. And it ends on a very sad note. Valli comes back home from the city and she sees that her aunt and her mother are in some sort of conversation. And she overhears her mother say, and I quote, or rather paraphrase, oh, yes, you're right. How do we know all that's happening around us? And even if we do understand all of it, how do we fully comprehend it? To which Valli, who actually truly identifies with what her mother had just said, replies, oh yeah, I understand. But seeing Valli trying to participate in a conversation between two adults, her aunt snaps and criticizes, saying, look at her, poking her nose between our conversation as if, and I quote, she were a grown lady. Valli just smiles at them and walks away because she knew they wouldn't understand what she meant, or more importantly, the fact that she had learned so much on that journey to the city, and she wanted to share it with the parents. As an educator, what scares me the most, is the fact that there are so many Vallis out there who have so much to share with the world, but no listening ears. And why? Because us grown-ups, who by the way have driven this planet to its doom, think that they aren't grown up enough to talk to us. What I wish to convey here today and request to all the parents is, I really hope that we raise children who don't give that same silent smile of misery to you, parents. Let us raise children who smile at us because they truly know we understand them and have a listening ear to what they have to say. And how is that possible? It is possible only if we look at children as whole human beings who carry within themselves profound wisdom. Thank you.